A very good morning, my dear students, and a warm welcome to the geography lecture of the 8th standard. Students, in the previous lesson, we were studying about the interior of the earth. Today, we are going to continue with the same lesson in this particular lecture. We had seen about the introduction up to here, my dear students, that is to know more about the same. Today we shall continue with the same lesson on page number 10. Our earth was formed approximately 4.6 billion years ago. Initially, the earth was in a gaseous state. It started cooling through the process of radiation. The earth then liquefied. With time, the outermost part of the earth first and became solid. This outermost layer of the earth is called the crust. Even today, outer planets of the solar system are in a gaseous state. So my dear students, I hope you remember the example of the boiled milk that we had done in the previous lecture. We had seen how the boiled milk converts itself when it is first heated. The lighter particles what are there in the milk come on the top, that is they begin to float on the top. Then slowly as it cools, slowly as the milk cools, we can see that it begins to solidify, and then we get a thick layer of cream above the milk. The same thing happens, my dear students, on the earth. The earth was first in the same way, in the liquid state. Then as time passed, there was the cooling process of the earth, and then slowly the earth became into the solid state. It was somewhat like this, the story of the earth. So today what we have, the earth is here, we can see it on your screens. The outermost layer, my dear students, is called as the crust. Then we have the mantle, then the outer core and the inner core. We will be doing with all of these in the lesson ahead. Now my dear students, we shall straight away move with the geographical explanation. While going from the earth's surface to its core, major changes occur in the temperature and density. My dear students, now we are going to see in this lesson the things that are happening from the earth's surface, that is from above the earth to below the earth. So we are going to go from the earth's surface. So when I say earth's surface, we mean where we are staying, that is the crust over here. My dear students, see here, this is the earth's surface, the crust. Now we are going to go from the earth's crust to the core. To the core. See, here is the core. So the core is the innermost layer, the crust is here, and the innermost layer is called as the core. We are going to see, and we are going to see what kind of changes occurs as we move from the earth's surface to the earth's core. With respect to these two elements, the earth's interior can be divided into the following layers. So that is with respect to which two elements, that is temperature and density. So when we see changes in temperature and changes in density, we can divide the earth into various layers. So the first layer, my dear, is crust, then we have the mantle, and then we have the core. These are the three main layers. Then each of these layers are further subdivided. They are divided into various layers. The first one, crust. Crust is divided into continental crust and oceanic crust. Crust is divided into continental crust and oceanic crust. Mantle, my dear students, is divided into upper mantle and lower mantle, and likewise core is divided into outer core and inner core. So we have divided each of these layers, that is the three main layers, crust, mantle and core. We have divided them into two layers each. Here again we can see the same thing, crust, mantle and core. Crust divided into continental crust and oceanic crust. Then we have got the mantle being divided into upper mantle and lower mantle, and the core divided into the outer core and the inner core. This textbook image that is there, my dear student, this is a very important image for you all in the textbook. Okay, this is shown for you all. See here, we can see the crust, we can see both, we can see the continental crust as we can see the oceanic crust also. Okay, then here we can see the mantle. Okay, this is the mantle also I have told you is divided into two. Okay, then we have got the outer core over here, and then we have got the inner core. Okay, so this is the textbook diagram what you can see of the Earth's interior, the structure of the Earth's interior. Now we shall first start studying with the geographical explanation of the crust. The uppermost layer of the Earth's surface is in solid state and it is called as crust. So my dear students, we can see that the uppermost layer is the crust, and the crust is completely in solid state. This area what you can see, this outermost area, okay, this is the outermost area of the Earth and this is in solid state, and this outermost layer, my dear students, is called as the crust. The thickness of the crust is not the same everywhere. So the thickness, okay, that means how thick it is. Okay, it is not the same everywhere, it is changing. I will tell you why it is changing and how it is changing as I move ahead. On an average it is about 30 to 35 kilometers. Okay, so on an average, that is, if you see on an average, it is 30 to 35 kilometers thick. The thickness of the crust below the continents is about 16 to 45 kilometers. So my dear students, if you see below the continents, we can see here, this is the continental crust. Okay, here it is the continents, that is where we are staying. Okay, where we are staying, where we have houses, where we build buildings, where we can see the mountains, where we can see rivers, okay, where we can see valleys, we can see all these things. There the thickness, okay, of the Earth is approximately 16 to 45 kilometers, and it is 40 kilometers under the mountain ranges. So if you see on the mountain ranges, it is 40 kilometers, okay, and it is less than 10 kilometers under the ocean. So if you see here under the ocean, we can see it is less than 10 kilometers. Okay, so that's why I said right in the beginning that the thickness of the crust is not the same. Wherever we have got mountains, wherever we have got hills, wherever we are staying on the continent, there we can see that the thickness is about 16 to 45 kilometers. Okay, and then here we can see in the ocean we can see that it is only about 10 kilometers. Okay students, then as we move deeper under the surface, the temperature increases. So as we try to dig and try to go deeper, try to go down, we can see that the temperature increases. After that, the rate of increase in temperature reduces again. After that, if you are seeing, my dear students, again we can see that the rate of temperature what is there, okay, it reduces. Okay, the increase of temperature reduce, and again when we go in the core, we can see that the temperature increases. So my dear students, certain times we can see that the temperature is increasing, certain times we can see that the temperature is reducing, and again we can see that the temperature is increasing. This is what I had told you right in the beginning over here. That is, what are we going to see? Major changes occurring in the temperature. So I told you that is because of the changes occurring in the temperature, we have divided into crust, mantle and core. Okay, so these changes in temperature you are going to see all throughout. Okay, at the center of the Earth, the temperature is around 5500 to 6000 degrees Celsius. Okay, so imagine it is so hot beneath the Earth's surface. Okay, it is very hot. It is about 5500 degrees Celsius to about 6000 degrees Celsius, where right down below the Earth's surface. Okay, the crust is the thinnest of all the layers when compared to the mantle and the core. So when you compare to the mantle and the core, the crust what is there, it is the thinnest. Okay, and it is divided into two sub layers. As we had seen ahead, we had divided into two sub layers the crust. It is divided into continental crust and oceanic crust. Okay, my dear students, so first let us have a quick revision over here via this image. Okay, that is, we can see that the crust, okay, it is in a solid layer of the Earth. Its thickness is about 30 to 35 kilometers as we have seen, and it is made up of the lightest materials. Okay, it is made up of the lightest materials. That means the materials that are used, okay, the materials that the crust is made up of are very light, like the same way of the milk. What lighter materials were there in the milk, when it was heated, what happened? It began to come above the earth. Okay, so my dear students, now you can see the image of an apple. So you can see the skin of the apple. You might have eaten the apple, you see the skin of the apple, it is that much thick only that the crust is. So if this is the entire earth, only the skin of the apple, our earth is only the crust is only that thick. Okay, so imagine that how big will be the remaining parts of the earth. Okay, so here we have got, see here, oceanic crust is the oceans what we see, and continental crust is the continents. That is, we have seen the 7 continents in the introduction lesson. I have given it to you all. Okay, so we can see that in the outermost layer. Okay, we can see that in the outermost layer, okay, in the crust. Okay, my dear students, so that is the continental crust. Now we will continue with the continental crust. The continents are the mainly composed of silica and aluminium. Okay, so the continents are mainly composed of silica and aluminium. These are two different materials, my dear students, minerals what we can see, that is silica and this is aluminium. Okay, so this is the main things that the continental crust is made up of. Okay, my dear students, because of their high proportion in this layer, the layer was earlier known as sile. Okay, so because of the high proportion, that means these two materials, that is silica and aluminium, are present in so high quantity that it was earlier called as sile. Okay, now we can see this over here, the combination of both of them together is called as sile. So we can get silica Si and from aluminium Al. Okay, so we get this layer as sile. Okay, because of the combination of both these, silica as well as aluminium. Okay, it was called as sile. Okay, now the density of the continental crust is 2.65 to 2.90 gram per cubic centimeter. The thickness of this layer is approximately 30 kilometers. Granite rocks is mainly found in this layer. So my dear students, if you see, the thickness of this earth of this layer is about 30 kilometers. So I had told you right in the beginning that it is about 30 kilometers. Okay, so the thickness of the earth, so here we can see this continental crust. Okay, the layers which form the continents. Okay, these are the layers of the rock that form the continents. They are less dense than the oceanic crust. So my dear students, the continental crust, what is there? They are less dense. That is the reason why they have come up, and the remaining part has remained down in the as the oceanic crust. Okay, they are mostly granite. Okay, so we have seen granite stone. So that kind of stone, that is this kind of rocks, that is made up of the continental crust. They are thicker than the oceanic crust. So we had seen that right in the beginning. Okay, that the thickness of the continental crust is almost 16 to 45 kilometers, and that of the oceanic crust is only 10 kilometers. So the thickness, we know, that is more than that of the oceanic crust, and this is older than the oceanic crust. Okay, so if you compare, this is much more older than that of the oceanic crust. So I showed you both this is silica and aluminium, and when you get both of this together, the combination of this, we get it something called as the sile. Okay, we get it as sile. Okay, the next part, my dear students, is oceanic crust. Okay, so oceanic crust, my dear students, this is the second layer of the crust. So we have seen that the crust is divided into continental crust and oceanic crust. So this is the second layer. It is made up of silica and magnesium. So my dear students, this is made up of silica and magnesium. So we can see a silica and magnesium, and therefore this is called as sima. Okay, therefore this one is called as sima. This layer, again same thing, we have got Si from here and Ma from here. Okay, it is Si from there and Ma from magnesium. Okay, it was earlier called as sima. This layer is approximately 7 to 10 kilometers thick. So I told you it is 7 to 10 kilometers thick, whereas the continental crust is much more thicker than the oceanic crust. Okay, the density of this layer is about 2.9 gram per cubic centimeter to 3.3 grams per cubic centimeter. In this layer, basalt and gabbro rocks are mainly found. So we can see these are the various rocks that are mainly found over here. Granite, as I told you, we had studied in the continental crust, okay, and basalt and gabbro rock are formed over here in the oceanic. So you can see all the three kinds of rocks what are found in the crust, okay. This is found in the continental crust and the remaining two are found in the oceanic crust, okay. So the oceanic crust, a thin layer of crust that overlies the ocean basin. So this comes over the ocean basin. They are more dense than the continental crust. We had seen this already, okay. Then they are mainly made up of basalt rock, okay. They are thinner than the continental crust. That also we had seen that they are only 5 to 10 kilometers, whereas the continental crust, my dear students, we had seen in the beginning also that it is almost 16 to 45 kilometers, and they are younger than the continental crust. And we have seen that the continental crust is older and the oceanic crust is younger, okay. So we have seen this in the previous things also. So again we have seen this also. Silica and magnesium, when they are combined together, we get something called as sima, which this layer is called as, okay. And then these are the various elements that are found. So we get silica, then we have got aluminium, then we have got silica again we have got magnesium, nickel and ferrous, that is iron, okay. So these are the various elements which are found within the earth's interior. This comes at the above and this comes below, okay. That is, so density is from low to high, okay. So my dear students, today we had seen with the crust, that is the continental crust and the oceanic crust. In the coming lectures we will be seeing about the mantle and the core, okay. So that's all for you all in today's lecture. I request you all to go through this lecture very carefully and revise what I had already taught you all in the previous lectures also, so that you get a rough background always, okay. So my dear students, stay home, stay safe, take care of yourself, your families. God bless you all.